What are you doing?
Eating the sauce. I'm starving. Remember, we never had supper.
God, you're right. I'm sorry. I fell asleep. What time is it?
I think it's 2:30.
I must say.
It's no worry. I must have fallen asleep as well.
Why don't Baptists like to fuck standing up? Because they're frightened God will think they're dancing. Is it me, or has something made it a bit warmer in here?
It may be you, but also it's snowing finally. Everything's covered in snow.
My God, you're right. It's beautiful. I think I've decided I'm going to move in. I was lying there, in that bed of yours next to that sort of interesting lump in the mattress you have. I was thinking I could get used to this. Over there, I was thinking, I'm going to put in my telly.
Do you still have that big one?
Oh no, it's much bigger now. I've got a home projection system. It's enormous. Yes, the football, Sunday afternoons with the lager.
Do you still support Chelsea?
Of course.
How are they?
They play the English game, my own game, you know. Kick it up the middle and hope for the best. And over there, I was thinking I'm going to put my stereo. And Frank, we'll put him in a box room. Oh, he would love it. We could make a life, you and me. Takeaway Indians.
Except you'd need the house next door as well to store all your clothes.
Oh no, I've stopped all that rubbish. I haven't bought clothes, well, since Alice died. Do you think I've lost weight? A diet of suffering?
I didn't notice, in fact.
No.
I wasn't thinking.
I was thinking, whatever else happens, we always have this. I was wondering, what are you doing for Christmas? It's just, I've got this place in the sun. It's at the water's edge, it's perfect. The island has palm trees, beaches, great fish. Unless, of course, you'd made other plans. I'm just saying, think about it.
Yes.
No pressure.
No.
No hurry.
Of course.
Could you let me know on Friday? No, I'm just joking. Honestly. I'm not totally insensitive. I don't think one fucking everything's solved.
Two, though, and that'll be different.
Yes, that sort of thing.
Why so long? I mean, till you came round here.
Well, I suppose the feeling of needing you. Not easy to accept when you get to my age. Besides, I've been very busy.
Oh, well then.
I'm only half joking. I do have to work twice as hard. The company's been radically restructured.
Ah, yes, then obviously.
There's been a refinancing package as well.
Do you ever think of just leaving? You know, just packing up your stuff and living in your place in the sun?
I've thought of it, of course. But I don't know. I've always been there with someone else. You know, I need a woman to worship.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I know. You're not meant to say that.
Tom, it isn't just saying it, it's also using that word.
What word?
Even you must have realized. When a man says he worships you, he's building a scaffold. It's only a matter of time till he claims you've let him down. You should get out more. Recently, I tell you, there's been a whole group of us.
Oh, really? What sort of group?
It's more an informal gaggle of friends. We meet after work on a Friday. We meet and we have a drink. You know, there's a couple of teachers, and Adele, she's from Zimbabwe. And we talk, you know. Oh, one girl is a hairdresser, another one works in a shop.
And you meet every Friday so you can have a good laugh about men?
No, come on, look. It's just casual.
Well, thank goodness.
My God, for God's sake, it's just hanging out. I've developed this passion for listening.
Blimey.
Yes. It's like an addiction. I can't get enough. And you know, the more I listen, the more it strikes me. People, you know, they're so much smarter. This is the idea. They're all sitting there, everyone, every night, watching TV in some sort of vegetable state.
Aren't they?
Not at all, no.
Well, you could have fooled me.
No, people discriminate. It's quite extraordinary. You listen and they have bullshit detectors working full time. There was this guy the other day. I was riding next to him. Oh, actually it turned out I'd seen him at the school.
What does he do?
Oh, he works in security. He works in a private security firm.
At the school?
Yes, we've had them there lately. Only for a few days. It was absolutely disgusting. The staff protested like mad. You know, we had a problem with burglary, lootings. A dinner lady was mugged.
She was mugged? In the school?
Tom, that's not unheard of. Don't take up that home counties tone.
I'm not. Just allow a moment of taxpayers' interest that now dinner ladies walk in fear of their lives.
One dinner lady.
Okay.
One incident. It happened once. But, of course, it's been used politically. There are, let's face it, certain elements, partisan elements, who wish the school ill.
For what reason?
Precisely because it's an enlightened regime. It's just a piece of street theatre. Putting these baboons in blue uniforms out there in front by the gate. They're there to destroy parents' confidence, to make them feel somehow discipline's collapsed.
I see. And has it?
No. No, of course not.
You told me earlier.
I mentioned certain events. These events occurred in a context. You'd have to be there. You'd have to take part in the life of the school to know exactly how much importance to attach to these things. Tom, do not look at me like that. I am not a soft liberal.
I didn't say anything.
Far from it. My views have got tougher. They've had to. You grow up pretty fast. Education has to be a mixture of haven and challenge. Reassurance, of course. Stability, but also incentive.
I'm not sure I actually know what that means.
Tom, these are kids from very tough backgrounds. At the very least, you offer them support. You give them security. You give them an environment where they feel they can grow. But you also make bloody sure you challenge them. You make sure they realize learning is hard. Because if you don't, if you only make the safe haven and it's all clap happy and everything the kids do is great, then what are you creating? Emotional toffees who've actually learned nothing but then have to go out and face the real world. I mean,
I see that.
it's fucking interesting.
I'm sure.
Finding that balance.
I'm sure.
Finding it, keeping it there. I tell you, Tom, there's nothing in my life I've done which is harder. 40% speaking English as a second language. It stretches you as far as you'll go.
Are you really that involved?
You mean me personally?
Do you go to staff meetings?
I'm not an activist, if that's what you mean. But I do take it quite seriously. Because apart from anything, I'm older than most of the teachers.
Really?
Yes. It's a young person's area. A young teacher comes out of college, they think, this is the kind of work I want to do. Then, pretty soon, well, they move house, they marry, they decide they want something a little bit easier. A little bit less arduous, mostly.
But that's never happened to you.
Early on, you know, I was spat on. Very early, like maybe the first day or two. In front of the class, this boy spat on me. He called me an arsewipe, a cunt. I tell you, I can still feel it here on the side of my cheek. That night I went home and I cried. Then I thought, right, this is it. No more crying. From today, I learned certain skills. Survival skills, if you like. I master certain techniques, if for no other purpose, but maybe even in the years ahead, maybe even after I've finished, perhaps. I can say, right, it was a job and I bloody well did it.
I see. It sounds like a challenge.
Tom, I've seen the way things now are in this country. I think for 30 years I lived a dream. I don't mean that unkindly. Everything you gave me, I treasured. But the fact is, you go out now. You open your eyes. You see the country as it really is.
But you have friends.
What?
I mean, I'm just asking. You have friends. I mean, it's none of my business. But the way you describe it, it all seems a bit bleak.
Tom, the point is we're mostly totally exhausted.
I'm sure.
What are you asking? Do I go out? Yes, I go out. On Friday, I go to thank God it's Friday. On Saturdays, Sainsbury's, and also, yes, I have a few friends.
Well, good.
Adele is terrific. She lives downstairs. She's the woman who found me this place.
You call that an act of friendship?
Oh, very funny.
It's like she's trying to freeze you to death.
It doesn't bother me, not after my childhood.
Being strolled by nannies besides stormy English seas.
My dreadful father had something he called heating bill targets. He'd hold up the heating bills. He'd say, by all means, keep this place like a furnace if that's what you want. But remember, turn it up in September. By February, you'll have to be turning it down.
Oh.
You know he died?
When?
Yes, a year ago. Dropped dead on the golf course.
But Kira, I thought you were to get lots of money.
Ah, well, yes, I thought so as well.
So?
Tom, things are never that simple. This is also a man who kept cats.
Oh, come on.
Oh, it's true. He gave me some money. Not much, in fact, very little. The RSPCA got nearly all of it.
For God's sakes. How did that make you feel?
I thought at one time he had no emotions. I made the mistake of thinking he was cold.
So did I.
Oh, no. He told me once he cried uncontrollably.
Really?
Yes, he'd just broken down. He said once at Hove, Dexter played a straight four to the boundary, the most perfect cover drive he'd ever seen in his life.
Oh, come on, Kira, come on now.
You can't take it seriously, how can you? I mean, if you took it seriously, then you'd go mad.
I'm sure, but you must have felt something.
I didn't feel anything. What difference did it make?
Well, I would have thought all the difference.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if you would have had his money, you could have bought a new place.
Oh.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you could have left here. You could have bought somewhere decent.
I mean, yes, I suppose so.
I mean, you can't plan on staying here the whole of your life. I mean, I suppose what I'm asking is what are you planning?
Planning. Tom, I don't expect this to make any sense to you. But I'm planning to go on just as I am. Do you want tea?
What? Oh, tea. Yes, please, of course. I don't know. I know this sounds silly, but there's something, I suppose, an idea of the future. It means something to me.
Of course. I have an idea of the future as well.
Do you?
Yes. Yes, I mean loosely. A future doing a job I believe in. Why does that bother you?
Because of a feeling. It was something that happened with Alice, something that happened right at the end. Do you know how I first met her? I saw her modeling in a magazine. I thought, oh, look, there's Audrey Hepburn.
You cut out her picture, that's what I heard.
I sent her flowers. I sent her roses. I sent her roses day after day. After a month of this, she finally agreed to meet me in a coffee shop. She was quite charming, quiet, you know. But she said, I'm not a thing, don't you see? You can't buy me. Whatever you give me, I can't ever be bought. I remember even then I was just laughing. I said, my God, do you not understand? You see, by that time I'd already started. I had a couple of restaurants. You know, nothing too grand, but I had already worked out. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I figured, you know what? Either money runs you, or you run it. I mean, if you're frightened to spend your money, you become its prisoner. Look, as far as I'm concerned, if you don't spend it. I mean, like, really spend it. I mean, okay, sure, when you're making it, be as mean as you like, but when you spend it, just give. Give. Show your contempt for it. I said to her, right in that cafe, I said to her, you know what? I give for the sake of giving, just for the pleasure of it.
But Alice understood that.
No, she never accepted it. I promise you, right to the end. She always thought if I was giving, then somehow I wanted something back.
You told me you built her that room to be ill in.
That's right, exactly. That's right. You know, every night I brought her flowers, red roses. The same red roses I had given to her when I first met. She was lying there, her head on the pillow. I thought asleep, and she said, no more flowers. I said, why not? She said, because it isn't the same. She said, the flowers were when you loved me. You and I were really in love. She said, I don't want them anymore. That was 1 week before she died. Kira, that is fucking hard.
Yes.
I tried to explain to her. I tried to talk about you. But she just cut me off. I promise you, she'd made up her mind. She knew what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. The one thing she had was her moral authority. And the last thing she wanted to do was to change her view of things, and certainly not if it had anything to do with me. She used her death as a way of punishing me. No, really, really. You think that I'm exaggerating? She treated me as if I was still some sort of schoolboy. This is it! You betrayed me! Now, in my opinion, that's not bloody fair! I'm not certain what to do. I would come home from the restaurants. That's if I bothered to go home at all. At 10:30, I would think that I was tired. Then 2 hours later, I would be sitting up stock still in bed. I would go out for a walk. Sometimes I would go out around 3, just looking around and thinking. Always the same thought. Something must come of this. I would go out. I would think, tonight I am going to have a good time. I would have a drink. But my foot was on the floor. I'm fucking pumping. I'm flooring that fucking pedal and nothing's moving. It was like earlier you were saying how you'd always had something inside yourself. You would be loyal to her, but yet you were still loyal to something inside yourself. I was thinking, how about me? How about us? I mean, come on, Kira.
Tom.
Were we guilty?
Tom.
Look, was it just that we behaved shabbily? I mean, I'm saying, is that it? Is that it? Is it over? She found out and it's over?
Tom, there is something you do have to deal with. There is this whole world I'm now in. It's a world with quite different values. The people, the thinking is different.
What?
It's not at all like the world which you know. I mean, if we... What I'm saying, if we can work out a way of keeping in touch, then you have to know that I have made certain decisions, and these are decisions which you have to respect.
Well, sure, exactly.
Good.
Surely. Do you think I'm a complete idiot?
No.
Jesus. So what you're saying is, you've made an informed and serious choice. You've chosen to live here in near Arctic conditions, somewhere off the North Circular. No, really, I understand you perfectly well, perfectly well. I understand. Jesus Christ, put a fucking bucket in the corner. The shit in, and you can take hostages and tell them this is Beirut.
Tom, I have to tell you, this place is really quite reasonable.
Really?
Oh, as a matter of fact, I get it at a very cheap rent.
I should hope.
It's you, Tom. The fact is, you've lost all sense of reality. This place isn't special. It isn't specially horrible. For God's sake, this is how everyone lives!
Oh, please, please, let's be serious.
I mean it. It wasn't until I left your restaurants, those carpaccio and ricotta stuffed restaurants of yours. It wasn't until I deserted that Chelsea milieu.
Which, in my memory, you liked pretty well.
I do like it, yes. That isn't anything I'd ever deny. But it wasn't until I got out of your limousines, until I left that warm bubble of good taste and money in which you exist.
Thank you.
It was only then I remembered most people live in a way which is altogether different.
Well, of course.
And you have no right to look down on that life.
That's right!
Good.
That's right! You're absolutely right! However, there is one thing, Kira, one thing! That I must say, you are entirely different than everyone else in this part of town.
Go on!
You are the only person that has fought so hard to get into it when everybody else is desperate to get out!
That's right. How did that feel? You see where he is.
Right.
And you see how that vitriol works for the play. You can gradate it, you know, but it has to get there.
Yes.
It substantiates the mocking and the sarcasm and the standoff and the gunfight and the corpse.
That's it.
Stay right there. Stay right there. It's wonderful. Wonderful. Sit for a second. So I want to do some more of it. But this was a really creative and healthy rehearsal. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You are finding another level of this relationship and another level of working. And I think that both of you are starting to understand that you're working with a playwright that is so complicated. And there is so much going on in this relationship, and the layers are so dense that to get underneath it and then support the language, all of those transitions, is not so easy. And to have the breath control, and to know how to build it and let it simmer and build again and let it simmer and find the comedy in it. So my point is, the work you did from last time to today is so positive and so reinforcing to both of your instruments, because you were really, in the best sense, rehearsing today. You lost your way, you lost lines, you didn't know where you were, but that's a good rehearsal. That's a good rehearsal. And one of the things that I want you to know, I mean, I'm really telling both of you, this excites me, the work you did today. It rivets me because I see you thinking for the writer. I see you manifesting ideas vocally, physically, rhythmically, working on your own individual acting instrument problems. The truth of it is, you're both rusty.
Yeah.
And because you're rusty, there's certain car crashes that happen to your instrument because suddenly the emotion comes up and you go, oh, I've lost my line. And you just stood there and waited and breathed, and the line came back, and it gave it a kind of, I don't know what's going to happen next. Because they have no idea what's going to happen next either. So it did have that shimmery, I don't know quality. All to the good. So I want to work a little bit more on this. You know, Lindsay, you're a fascinating person to watch on the stage. That's not a compliment, it's just a sheer fact. Everything you've done in your life, everything you've gone through, everything you've become, you're a very, very interesting human being. And because you're a very interesting human being, you're a very interesting actor. And so, the first time I saw you, last time, I thought to myself, this is a man who's about to move into a whole other echelon of his talent if he chooses to. And I think you're getting a taste of it today. I think you're back in touch with the artist. And I think I'm seeing a sniffing around of a potential that you have for doing more than just working as an actor, but actually taking that leap into the first rank of actors. What you can do. And the beauty of what you did was that I saw his heartbreak. I saw his love. And I saw moments of the ferociousness of how he built this empire. But what I thought it needed more of was his not being able to have it his way. That there's a part of him that's a tantrumy, do you know what I mean? He's a tantrumy, small little guy. And so when he blusters, and he goes, you know, well, of course, Kira, I'm not a complete idiot. There's an aggression in it. There's a canine quality to him. Otherwise, he becomes too sympathetic in the wrong way. And it isn't as heartbreaking when he has to take the defense mechanism down that got him to the higher echelon of a restaurateur from a blue-collar background. And so you started it so wonderfully when you said the home projection, and I thought, yes. And then, but you see, I understand something else about you that I'm learning. You don't want to be untruthful. You're a very big truth teller in your acting, and I love that. But his truth is not your truth. And that's the next step you have to take, which I'm going to take you to in a minute.
Okay.
Which is the, if you think of his childhood, when he says, she says, not from, Hare says, not from my childhood. Oh, being pushed by nannies, they're different classes, and that's another thing that David Hare writes about brilliantly in this play. Brilliant is a great play, I think. That never leaves him. That part of him that swears, that part of him that gets, that I can't rest, I can't sleep, I can't, you owe me a life. You owe me a life. I took you at 18 years old and I gave you a life. Now you owe me you. I get you. I'm just saying. He says, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not a complete idiot. I'm just saying. What are we going to do? I mean, it isn't like, there's an energy to him. There's a voracious, maniacal energy that comes from his guilt about Alice, his coming to this is the point. You get, and this is so much. I was reading the reviews of Bette Midler and her new play by John Logan, who wrote Red. It's a new play that just opened. I'll Eat You for Lunch or something. I think Sue Mengers, this great manager. I mean, great in the sense that she was very successful. But they talk about the ending of the play where Sue Mengers is losing it in Hollywood. She's losing, she had all these huge stars, Barbra Streisand and, Faye Dunaway and all these big movie stars, and she was a mover and a shaker. But what happened is people reached the pinnacle of Hollywood, Kevin Costner, you go on and on. They start to lose it because their egos become torrential and they begin to think that they are God. And then the audience turns on them because, I remember seeing Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner, and I'm thinking, if he gives himself one more close-up, I'm going to throw up. Because, nobody's that interesting to watch. But he was just doing these long close-ups of his face. And I said, you fucking narcissistic pig. And of course, he went down. And Alec Baldwin, who's another narcissistic guy, who is a cruel man and a sadistic, and now he's gotten it in the neck for orphans. Yeah. So now he's going to have to, as all narcissists do, become enraged, throw a tantrum, be unhappy, or if he's smart, he'll just start to improve in the part and maybe he won't be so hated. But my point is, these type A personalities that are ruthless. He says, of course, if you're making money, be as mean as you like. But he sees and he says, but I give for the pleasure of giving. But Alice understood that. No. That's what I'm saying here, Lindsay. No, she never did. She's the problem. You see, Kira, she's the problem. Not me, not you. She couldn't forgive. I tried to talk about you. And the blustery comes from the guilt. The anger and the defensiveness comes from his guilt. Okay. And that's what was missing. Okay. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Brenda, there were such beautiful, many moments that you have. And you said the other day, I'm so glad to be back. Yes. And I'm so glad to see you back. And you're not breathing enough.
Yeah.
But that's
back
okay.
into my body. Yeah.
You're getting back in your body. Now that's okay because you have this kind of Stradivarius nervous system where you're very, very easily emotional.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to give you, because you understand, because you work on voice. Yes. You understand that not every character breathes the same.
Yes.
And there is a breath quality, I think, to Kira, particularly with him in this event, which is here. It's almost syncopation.
Ah, okay.
Tom.
Okay.
Tom, you have to understand, this is very different. No, Tom, it's you. And you see, the two of them are kind of well met. There's the part of him that has to be blustery because she has to go, no, Tom, this is it. You see, this is it. I'm a very different person than the 18-year-old girl that walked into your restaurant, lost, and betrayed my best friend by having an affair with you. And the one thing I promised, made you promise, is not to leave the letters for her to find. And it's the big reveal at the end of the play, but it's in her. It was a beautiful moment when you said, I intend to go on as I am. Both of you found that moment brilliantly. But what you haven't found is the guilt inside of both of them that creates their anger.
Yeah.
And out of the guilt that creates the anger comes the comedy. Also, you're doing the British version, not the American British version. And I think, maybe because I'm American, could be, that the other version's better. The humor comes out of the other version better, in my opinion. But be that as it may, no, Kira, I respect it enormously. You've chosen, to live in near Arctic conditions. Now, why should that bother me? He drips with sarcasm and anger. Put a bucket to shit in, and we'll call it Beirut. The corpse that's lying there. And she has to stand up for something in herself.
Yes.
Or die.
Yeah.
She betrayed another woman. It's exactly like les liaisons dangereuses. When a woman decides to kill another woman through a man, it is always fatal. And of course, the young lady dies in the nunnery. But she says, my greatest triumph was not over her. My greatest triumph was over you, Valmont. I knew that you were too vain not to leave her. And so it killed her. So I got both of you. It's the darkest fucking play. But my point is, you are not Myrtle. You are not that woman. You're a woman of heart, but you betrayed another woman. And he keeps bringing Alice up and keeps bringing Alice, which keeps her breath going. Tom, the other thing that was very meaningful to me, particularly for you all in the class, is you found the kitchen. And didn't that feel great?
It did.
Also,
so helpful.
Well, I know. But, so again, what Stella Adler said, where you are is who you are, and how you create your environment. Because for you, I would think, Lindsay, her puttering around and doing things and having this place, it's about this place. This place isn't nearly as bad as you think, but you could find a better place. Place is bandied about all through the play. So you living in the space is threatening to him. So that was another layer that started to really work. I mean, just the tea bag and doing the independent activities, and it was very powerful, Lindsay, when you went over and really got the whiskey. It was very motivated and powerful. So do you understand the part of her that has to fight?
Yes.
Not only for herself, but for Alice.
Yes.
And to not let people be victims.
Yes.
You have to fight. Because the problem with people who are victim-y, which I was, other people are who've had bad experiences in childhood, you can identify with being a victim and fall in love with that. And that becomes your identity. And it becomes very scary to lift out of that and be someone who's assertive and positive, because that means leaving the original family of pain and finding a new family. A lot of people never do it. It's just too painful. But of course, they stay in pain their whole life. They never change, and that's the sadness of dysfunction. She is doing what she can not to destroy herself. She destroyed another woman.
Yes.
To make the layer even more profound, and you both have this today. It's beautiful. They truly, truly love each other. That's the terrible pain of this play, is these two people are meant for each other. They met at the wrong time. They're the wrong political ideologies. They're different classes. They will never, never find a way to cross over the Thames. ever. But they are madly in love, which puts a furnace under this fucking play that brings out the political agendas, the guilt agendas, and all of that. So the thing I'm talking about is the canine, and what I'm talking to you is about the syncopation.
Gotcha. Okay.
So can we go back and just play a little bit?
Sure,
That?
sure.
Go back to the monologue about, I go to the restaurant, if I go in at all, and when we go back there, why does Tom Lindsay do this monologue at this moment? What has she said, other than she says, I tend to go on, I'm going on as I am? Because that's the pivotal.
The despair.
Yeah.
The sense of hopelessness in his life.
What you can't bear. What you can't bear.
I mean, the restaurant business was his life.
Doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything.
It's like how, it's again, I think back to Whitney Houston or Heath Ledger, go, well, I'm completely famous, I'm completely respected, I'm completely beautiful, I'm completely rich, I can have anyone I want, everything's perfect, I feel like shit, I want to die. Yeah. That's a tragedy. Mm-hmm. He got everything. He has nothing. Because he doesn't have her. So he becomes like a maniacal dog. He literally goes mad. See what happens. And you work with that. I very rarely say this upper breath.
No, but I get you. I got that syncopation.
Yeah,
yes.
that syncopation. So I'm not saying you don't diaphragmatically support it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you get it. All right. So let's explore that. Fight for what you want. I suppose that's what I'm saying to both of you, is fight, fight, fight with the corpse between you.
I go into the restaurants. That's if I bother to go in at all. At 10:30, I think that I'm tired. 2 hours later, I'm sitting up, stock still in bed. I go out for a walk on the common. Sometimes I go out around 3, just looking around and thinking, what am I going to do? I try to go out.
I'm going to stop there for sure.
Good. Stalk the stage. Use the whole stage. Stalk the stage like an animal that's been shot. Let a sound go, Lindsay. Just let a sound go. Let a sound go. Ah! Right there. Right there.
Ah! I go into the restaurant. That's if I bother to go in at all. At 10:30, I think that I'm tired. At 10:30, I think that I'm tired. 2 hours later. 2 hours later. 2 hours later.
Yes.
2 hours later. I go for a walk. I go out onto the common. Sometimes I go out around 3. Just looking around and thinking. All the time just thinking. Something must come of all this. Something must come of all this. Something must come of all this. I try to go out. I think, oh, tonight I'll go out. I'll get drunk. But my foot's on the floor. I'm pumping. I'm floating that fucking bed and nothing's moving. I'm getting no fucking pleasure at all.
Line?
It's like, like earlier you were saying.
It's like earlier was saying, how all the time you've been loyal to yourself. You'd also been loyal, all the time you've been loyal to her, something in you had also been loyal to yourself.
There's the crux of it. There's the crux right now. She's dead. We're alive. Don't tell me you're going to go on as you have gone on.
It was like, look, earlier you were saying how all the time you'd been loyal to her, you'd also been loyal to something inside yourself. Well, how about me? I have too. All the time. It's like, come on! What are we going to do? Just leave it? Just leave it completely? It was just like saying, like, my God, we were guilty!
Tom!
No, look! Is it like saying we did behave shabbily and oh, it was just an affair, and then when she found out, it was over? Doesn't that seem to you wrong?